Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the collegesoccernews.com podcast. I am your host, Adam Zundel. Thanks so much for being here and listening. We have a great show lined up for you here in just a moment as NJIT coach Fernando Barboto joins us. But before we do that, I want to make sure that you check out collegesoccernews.com for all of the news and notes across the country. Keeps you updated and informed with everything that's happening. So make sure you check out collegesoccernews.com. Also, however you found us here, whether it was on YouTube or on your favorite podcast player, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any episodes. All right, let's go ahead and get to this week's interview with NJIT coach Fernando Barboto. All right, pleased to be joined now by the head coach at NJIT, Fernando Barboto. Coach, thanks so much for spending some time with us here this morning. How is everything going for you?
It's going. We've been working hard since the beginning of the semester with, working through all the phases, right? Technical training, non-contact, working in pods, and then eventually getting into contact. So it's been an experience, to say the least.
Yeah, we'll get into that maybe a little bit more. Let's go back though. We're going to take this in a couple of steps. Let's go back to you coming to NJIT from Iona and kind of tell me about that move, what you saw in the potential in the program at NJIT that led to that decision.
Yeah, I mean, I sat down with Lenny Kaplan, the athletic director, and he kind of went through his vision for the program. And from a resource standpoint, it was very strong, and then the new facility obviously was something that was obviously on paper with the photos and all, it was great. And then the new conference in the ASUN that the program was joining seemed very exciting to me. And Lenny really he sold me the goods, like it was a move that was perfect for me and my family. And being that I lived in New Jersey and commuted to New Rochelle, New York, and at Iona. Being in Newark, it's much closer. So everything it seemed to check off all the boxes, and I knew that it was going to be very challenging to build a program that really hadn't had much success in Division One. But I felt like it was a new challenge, and I have experience in building programs, so I took it on.
I was going to ask about that. Obviously, St. Francis before Iona. What did you do similarly in this go around in terms of building the program, and what did you maybe learn from those other stops that perhaps got you to accelerate this? Although you had success really quickly at Iona too, but to get this thing going.
Yeah, I think the first thing is the players that exist there. You gotta make them believe in your philosophy and what your plan and your vision is for the program, and they have to get on board, or at least get as many on board as you can, because for the next 2 to 3 years, they're going to be the core of the team. And that was the first step. The second step is it's quite clear, right? Within that philosophy of football, soccer, how are you going to change that for the players that are existing, or are you going to stick with your philosophy and have players adapt to that philosophy? So I've always been a coach where players are going to adapt to my philosophy, and I did that, and we worked really hard with the existing players, the existing roster, and they really took to it. They got on board immediately. We were very happy with that group, to say the least. And then the third piece is obviously building the foundation through recruiting, right? Getting the right student athlete. Every school has a different mission statement, if you will, academic profile, and we had to, as a coaching staff, figure out the right fit for that prospective student athlete at NJIT to not only fit the academic profile of the school, but to also fit what we want, what we were gonna build, right? So those were the things that I did at Iona, I did at St. Francis, and I did as an assistant coach at Lafayette. I learned quickly at Lafayette as an assistant.
Do you find it, I mean, I know you can't speak to other coaches, but kind of doing this and talking to other people, do you think that recruiting the players on the current roster might be something that people miss, re-recruiting them to a certain degree in terms of getting them to buy in? And sometimes there's a divide when a new coach comes in and he's not our guy, or we're not his guys, or anything like that. Is that something that, again, you can't speak to necessarily other coaches, but that importance for you there?
Yeah, listen, we speak to all the coaches, right? We're all friends for the most part, and some have a different approach, right? Some say, hey, you got to go in there and immediately just change the culture overnight, and players that don't want to be on board have to go. I don't really necessarily take that approach. Got to embrace what's there, right? Those are young kids, and they're there for the most part. They probably have the talent to be there, and the mentality. They just need to, change the ship, come onto my ship, and come with me on this journey, and as a coach, you got to have the ability to persuade, sell, if you will, those players to the philosophy. And if it's a good philosophy with good values, then you know what, those kids are going to come on board. And I think that's the job of a head coach to do the right thing there. And I've learned that from Tim Linehan at Northwestern, Dave Mazur, who was my coach in college. You got to look things at in the positive. They're good people. They're good kids. And from there, you start building the culture immediately. But yeah, I embraced the group that was here, and they paid dividends. They did a great job for us.
Let's talk about kind of the end of 2018, not the way that you wanted to get it to go, I'm sure. And then 2019 doesn't get off to the best start either. What is happening there in the beginning of 2019? What was the change? I know the phrase "believe in great." It's on the rings. I love it. But is there something that clicked, or was it just kind of a slow progress? And how difficult was it to keep everybody on board that we're building? This is gonna break through, even during those challenging times.
Yeah, listen, it's funny when I interviewed for the position with Lenny Kaplan, I told him specifically, I said the third year will be the most difficult year. All right, and you could ask him. The first 2 years we had some success, right? We finished third in the conference, 2 winning seasons back to back, something that had never been done at NJIT men's soccer. And that third year we struggled because we had graduated that senior class that was the core that carried the team those first 2 years, and we had no seniors in 2018 on the team, and so it lacked leadership, and you need leadership to have success. But those guys that were juniors were learning to be leaders, and it was a process. It doesn't happen overnight. When 2019 came around, we weren't like, I've always said this, we didn't start off 5-0, right? It wasn't like that. But it's always an evolution. I always say every season evolves as each day goes by in the season, because it's so packed with so many games in such little time, right? I think, as we were understood that playing at home in this brand new, beautiful facility, we were learning how to do that, because we had been on the road for 3 years, playing at all different other sites because we didn't have a home field. We trained off campus at a baseball outfield. So that year was, it was kind of like, wow, we finally have a field. We finally train. We come out of our locker room, we have a field on campus. So that was a process, but it was a process of building pride to play at home. And it started to set in little by little. And it didn't happen overnight, but we knew we were talented. And it's like any coach, right? Or any coaching staff. You tinker with your lineup, and things start to mold, and and then you get it right, and you realize you're getting it right, and that happened too as well. That's for sure.
So did you tell your athletic director that you were gonna year 3 would be a struggle, year 4 we're going all the way, we're going to make the history? Did you make that promise, or did you maybe low sell that one?
I don't know, I didn't make that promise, but I did say that we would be. Listen, one of our goals, and I explained it to him, was I thought we could be a top 25 team in the country um, in 5 to 6 years consistently. And I believe that, and I thought we had quite a good squad this past year, 2019. And I thought we were among that group or close to that group in the country.
Now, I know obviously nationally you want to keep driving forward, but how important is it? And maybe you're a little too close to it right now, but all of the history that was made last year at NJIT, winning the conference tournament, Division I program, going to the NCAA tournament, and how, I mean, is that something that when you look back will be, the phrase, they can't take that away from you? Is that going to be one of the more special kind of moments and times during your career?
Yeah, it really is. I often, speak to my mentors, Tim Linehan or Dave Mazur, and I'm like, this really just, I couldn't have asked for a better year. It was my first recruiting class at NJIT, and I've said this in other interviews. I sat down that freshman class. We were away in Fort Ann for preseason camp, and I sat them down. I said, you 6, 7 guys, you owe me a trophy once in 4 years, and they gave us 2. So it was really special. It doesn't happen all the time. We want it to happen all the time. I'm realistic. I think we're going to be consistently a top Division I program, but the first one is always the special one, and this certainly was truly special. The campus atmosphere, the whole school behind us. It was just really special.
So obviously you graduate, those guys promised you a trophy, but you brought in a freshman class that had such an impact last year. What were you selling? How many trophies did they say that class is going to have to bring in?
um, we as coaches, we recycle a lot of what we say, right? but I did it on that one. But that being said, hey, listen, as college coaches in any sport, you don't always get it right every recruiting year. And we got it right this year in 2019. If you look down, guys that came in: Ario, Joao, Cobero, Alejandro Rebel, Rookie of the Year; Sam in goal, Goalkeeper of the Year at freshman. Yeah, like I said, I could sit here and say, yeah, we did this right, we did that right. No doubt. We did a lot right in that recruiting class. The moon's kind of aligned, right? It doesn't happen all the time, right? We're happy to have gotten it right in a year where we had great leadership and a lot of talent. That season ended the way it should have ended, right? It's achieving something really special.
I want to talk about a couple of players, one going back a couple of years with Mamadou Garassi, and how important is it when you're building a program to have a national leader, to have somebody that you can point to, and sell those kids that you're talking about and say, look, best in the country.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was amazing. I really, I remember the last game of the season for us. We lost the game in playoffs. It was heart-wrenching, like for any senior class, right? But we were following that afternoon and that night on the restaurants, because we were in Florida on the road. We're like, okay, this guy has 16. If he doesn't score, then, or he has 15. If he doesn't score, Mo was going to win it, and we were following it for 24 hours. It was really exciting. No doubt it helps in building, continue to build a program, a kid, to produce a player that gets drafted at Portland Timbers in the MLS. It helps in recruiting, no doubt. And I didn't recruit Mo. Mo was already there. All we did was say, Mo, You're not Makaleli. You're not going to play holding midfielder here. We're going to put you up top, and you're going to score goals." And he's like, "Okay, coach." Like, what player doesn't want to hear that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, so he did that. We did that, and he really took to it well. And listen, he's having a spectacular career in France, playing I believe third division. He's scoring goals, and he's making a real nice career out of his football.
So let's go kind of locally though. In Rennie White, a kid from that area, how important is it to have somebody kind of local to shine a light on and say, look, you can do this here, if you're a local high school star?
Yeah, it's spectacular. You know what I mean? When Mo achieved that, we were like, this ain't ever going to happen again. Last year, we were in the same boat. Like, Rennie was right towards the end of the season. He had 17, and he's right on the cusp there, top 4 in the country of goal scorers. It's unbelievable that he's from Bloomfield, New Jersey. I'm a Jersey native, born and raised, and I can't be more proud for him to represent the state and this country. 6 to 7 7 out of our 11 starters of that championship team were domestic players, mostly from Jersey, and really proud of that. And Rennie's got one more year, and we're so excited for him. We really think that he's going to score a lot more goals. I mean, he's already broke the record as a junior, but I think he's going to go on to really solidify that record.
So we're talking about all of these things, this momentum, that kind of culminated last year, and then everything stops. Everything stops in the spring. Do you feel the slowdown and maybe the program's momentum, or is it just kind of on pause? I guess if there's a way to differentiate that.
Yeah, pause is the right word. We're on pause. That's all it is, right? We're not at training every day. Rah rah, can't wait to win a championship. We can't do that yet, right? There's still too much uncertainty. At least that's my approach as a head coach, and my staff agrees with me. We're just trying to be better soccer players, one day at a time. Can you improve on this? Can we better this talent of yours in this area? And that's all we can do. Is try to become better players. And then when the collective starts, the collective training, because I don't believe in, training every day without a game ahead of us. There's no game ahead of us yet. All right. Not until the spring. So come back in January, and we come back for the spring semester. That's when the collective starts. That's when the inspiration, the goal setting, and us winning our first championship in the America East.
Well, since you mentioned it, let's just go ahead and get to that. The conference change, obviously, the ASUN been a good home for you, but now in the American East, do you feel like you're just in a place where you have more in common with your opponents?
Yeah, I think I would say so. I mean, from a weather standpoint, I'm really going to. I'm not going to lie. Love flying into Fort Myers and Jacksonville in November. But yeah, listen, I think I know all those coaches. I've known them for years, and when I was at Iona, we competed many times against America East teams, particularly Stony Brook and, with Ryan there. And, yeah, we have a lot in common, but, we're going to compete. We're going to knock head to head in every single, recruiting bout, in the area, because, I had that luxury a little bit in the ASUN, where I wasn't competing too much with ASUN teams for, local Jersey talent or New York or Pennsylvania. And with those schools, I'll be competing head to head for almost every prospective student athlete.
All right. Sounds good, Coach. That's all I've got for you today. Really do appreciate the time. Congratulations on that. Do you have the ring on? Just wondering.
No? I got it right here.
Never far away. Let's see it. There we go.
Never far away.
I love it. Congratulations on that. That looks great. That's awesome. Appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Adam. Take care.
All right, that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode. Thanks so much for downloading and listening. And again, our thanks to Coach Barboto for his time. Once again, want to make sure that you check out collegesoccernews.com for all of the news and notes across the country. You're not going to want to miss anything, so make sure you're checking collegesoccernews.com daily. Also, we'd love for you to subscribe to this podcast, whether it's on YouTube or your favorite podcast player. Make sure you go ahead and do that so you don't miss an episode. Again, thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you next week with another episode of the collegesoccernews.com podcast.